What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of On the PRST Podcast. This episode, we connect with entrepreneurs, movers, shakers, people that are on the pursuit of doing amazing things. And on this episode, I have the pleasure of having an author, a coach, a father, someone who's very, very inspirational, motivational, and getting to it. He's really, really getting to it and showing people how they can get to it. My guy, Kyle King. What's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, man, I'm feeling blacktastic, brother. I'm feeling blacktastic. I appreciate you bringing me on, man.
Definitely, man. You had said that earlier, and you were definitely the first person I ever heard coin the phrase that way. Where'd you get that from? You put that together yourself, or you inspired?
Nah, I'm not one to like take credit for something. I heard it from a radio host here in Charlotte. He said it one time on air, and I was like, yeah, that's the new wave for sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right, bro. So, why don't you give us a little bit of a summary of your story and your journey? Where'd you come from to kind of get you to where you are? And there may be a lot of people following you that are watching this and also tapped in. But for those that are not, let's give them a little bit of summary of where you come from.
No, definitely. I can't say my story without starting with my parents. I had the privilege of growing up in a 2-parent household, so my story was a little bit different. My father, his mother died when he was 7, and he never had a father. And my mother, she was pregnant with my sister, my older sister, at 13 years old, and never had a father. And they both grew up South Jersey projects. And my mom now is the only Black executive for Volvo Cars of North America with no college degree, nothing, starting as a secretary and growing. And my father has pretty much built Gwinnett County community centers in Georgia as well. So 2 things that really represent me is resiliency and excellence. Finished up school, went to school to be a track athlete, graduated with a dual degree in finance and international business. But then once I realized that having a degree in business didn't teach me business, I really wanted to understand what this entrepreneurship game was about. So launched a book in 2016. We generated $20,000 in 30 days. And from there, we were able to build a global platform now that has 30,000 students on the platform, teaching young kids entrepreneurship, IT, real estate, and financial literacy. And from there, understanding the digital space, understanding all of these other spaces from business, we've really been able to grow a strong infrastructure. But it all started from one book. And so I tell people now, and I teach the importance of stories. The importance of taking your story, taking your experiences, taking your education, and being able to build sources of income, influence, and impact. So just a little bit about me, man. I'm a father. I'm a man of my faith. Those are definitely number 1 and number 2. So the last thing for me, man, is I'm a vessel. So anything that I've learned, anything that I've lived, my biggest thing is really being able to pass it to other people that don't have the privileges that I've been able to grow up with.
So one of the things that you said there that I think was very impactful. I mean, you said a couple of things that I want to kind of dial back. So you were saying having that degree in business didn't teach you business. I think that was really, really strong there. So like when you're going in for the higher education, you kind of going into college for what you expected you're going to receive. When do you realize that, like, what was it for you that realized that, okay, there's certain principles that I'm not getting to that are in here, and I obviously need to go out and learn more things. Maybe it was through mentorships, maybe through books, maybe through programs. I need to learn more things because what I'm learning here isn't really getting me the principles and the basics that I need to really thrive financially and in business.
Yeah, bro. So my lesson was a lot more expensive than I think a lot of other people's lessons. So I lost $100,000 my junior year of college because I started a nonprofit organization. We raised $100,000 and we lost it by the end of the year because I was mismanaging funds and I didn't really understand how to allocate money to being able to grow an organization. So think about this kid that's a 4.0 student in college, and I'm going to all these business classes, finance, business strategy, all these different things, and I'm growing in the class. But to then recognize that I'm just getting a bunch of theory from professors that haven't built $1 million companies, 6-figure companies. So there's only really so far that these professors in this traditional educational setting could teach me. I needed to go out and learn from people that have accomplished the very things that I was trying to accomplish. So once I lost the money and once I was forced to then go back and have it to apply for a job, I was like, nah, something ain't right. There's no way that I've went through school. I've amassed this amount of success. I've had internships and done all these different things. And I've started this company and we could raise $100,000 as a junior in college. but I still got to go find another job. So at that moment, I realized that educational system was preparing me to be an employee and not really being an executive to be able to run a company. I don't want to just work for a company. I want to be able to create opportunities for people to have work in our communities. So once I realized that, I was like, man, something ain't right. So I wanted to go back and teach kids. I wanted to go back and teach institutions the very knowledge, the very information that was necessary that I didn't get to learn. And then from there, I started to really accelerate in business because I created an environment around me of people that were exponentially more successful than I was.
So what do you think? What do you think it is? Like, why do you think that educational system right now, from your opinion, is teaching people how to be employees? And then how does someone get out of that? Because there's probably some people in it right now that aren't aware of what's actually going on. Like, they're going to school, they may be studying whatever they're studying to get that degree, but they're not really cognizant of, okay, I don't have these basic principles. I don't really know how to balance a budget. They have the structure because you know what time you need to show up for class and you know what class is next, but they don't got the financial literacy principles. They're not privy on their credit. They don't know the power of that. They don't know the power of leverage. So someone that's watching or listening right now, what is the first thing that they need to do to start looking outside of this traditional construct that they're in?
No, that's a great question. So number one step, anybody, and this is no knock for college because I was able to, I came through the traditional public school system. I came through college. I have a degree. So it has its benefits and advantages, but I want you to ask yourself two questions going into school. Why am I going to school? And what do I want to be able to accomplish by doing this? Right. So what do I want to accomplish? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to who do I want to be in 10 years from now? And how can I leverage my experience in college to be able to get me that? Who are the professors that I need to be learning from? What are the types of questions that I need to be asking so that I can apply pressure to the lesson? Who are the people on campus that are doing great things in the community while also on campus that have access to the alumni network? What are the alumni that have graduated from this institution that are doing great things? And how can I get in contact with these people? What is going around or what is going on around the community around me? What are some of the problems that my community or my school is struggling with so that I can be able to create some type of solution? What problem am I trying to solve when I graduate college? And what do I need to learn about that problem through college so that they can teach me it and I can leverage my experience? The problem with a lot of students is that they go into school, they go in to sit down to learn what is being taught to them. Now, if you're more intentional and you go into the class with questions for that specific professor based upon the lessons that y'all are learning, that's how you apply pressure to your professors and then also hold your college accountable for you to be able to get what you need so that you can work them and they're not just working you.
What's up, y'all? It's Brendan Boyd, speaker, productivity coach, and host of the On the PRST Podcast. And I want to talk to you all about my brand new book, the 8 Secrets to Success Playbook. Now, this playbook is jam-packed with all sorts of value. So if you're a coach or a consultant or an expert and you're looking to 5X or even 10X your business, you definitely want to grab a copy of this playbook. I'm talking about conversions, lead generation, high ticket offer, continuity offer, the power of speaking, the power of making a book for yourself, promoting, advertising is all in this playbook. So you definitely want to make sure that you grab a copy. Click the link below, get a copy of your playbook, and I'll see you on the other side. So I think what we need to do is drop a checklist with this podcast because you just gave a bunch of things that I hope these people were listening. I hope if you're watching this, I hope you just pay attention. If you tapped into the actual podcast, the audio version, I hope that you are able to dial this back and get all the drip that Kyle just gave. But like I said, maybe we'll get together and put a little checklist of when this is, as you listen to it, you can download exactly what you think. Because these questions that you have posed for people to not only ask, but really think within themselves. Because you gave a lot of information that people can really sit on and digest. Because if you're in school right now, like if you're a young person in school right now, you're really at a privileged position. Because not only do you have access to the information that you're paying for, the information that you're going to receive through your professors and everything at your institution, but you have access to a wealth of information outside of that for far less. So you can go in there and take a program or get a mentor or get a coach or something, or listen to other podcasts or get with other groups. Outside of that, you can bring some of that information back into your school, potentially to like you were saying, to challenge your professor or be like, hey, you know what? You're doing this and you're successful over here, but I also see somebody else doing this who's successful over here. It seems like there may be another angle to it. What's your insight? Because like I was watching the podcast with Marvin Mitchell and I just read his book, and he was embarking upon how, like, the traditional financial system doesn't teach you certain things that the wealthy people use to protect their money, shelter from taxes, how to use some of these financial instruments, to self-bank and stuff like that. But it's like you take that information and you go back and you challenge some of these people who give you this information. And I feel like if there's some friction there, that's where you really should start digging in. That's me. Okay, why is this friction right here? Maybe I should be asking more questions or doing some R&D on my own and things like that. But if you're a young person, I think, to Kyle's point, like, you can be very, very intentional. And now's the time to really be intentional. I think when I was in school, it was a little different. I don't know about you, but like I was worried about playing ball. I was worried about just getting through the class. I was worried about what girls were there and what they was wearing and how could I get to know them and stuff like that. Nice. I was more worried about just passing. Just passing and getting a job and put myself in a position so that when I did graduate, I could get a job, right? But kind of to your point, I think I was a little late learner when I did that. But when I graduated and I saw that, what I graduated for, there's no jobs for this. I had to get into something else. And literally I graduated with a degree, but that's when I got into entrepreneurship, like literally right off the gate. So for you, I guess one of my next questions is, how did you determine, because you mentioned that first book. So how did you find or determine that, you know what, this is going to be the path I'm going to go into. I'm going to write a book about it. And then we're going to this book, e-com, and then we're going to get to it through this measure. But how did you decide what the content was going to be and like really just go in that direction?
That's a great question. And as I look back, bro, like it wasn't really an intention back then. I've always been a great note taker. And shout out to my boy Neo. He said that note takers are money makers, right? And one of the biggest things that I realized is that every conversation that I would have with a professor offline, every person that I would reach out to offline, every conversation or things that my friends would be talking about, any opportunity to learn, I was writing it down. And then what I started to realize is that those questions, I started to go research and get answers. Those mentorship sessions, I started to apply pressure and they started to create answers. Those experiences that I learned from, they started to create answers. And then in 6 weeks or in 6 months or in 12 months and a year, I was like, hold on, we got a document of 100,000 word count. What do we need to do? So then I took it to a professor and I was like, look, I want to take this and write a book. And then she sat me down and she was like, all right, these are the steps that you're going to have to take to be able to do it. And I was like, all right. So then self-limiting beliefs came. Then I was like, nah, I'm not credible enough. Why? I'm a college kid. Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to buy my book? I don't have enough time. All these different excuses started to come. And then I graduated college with a document, 100,000 word count. Then I went to work for Johnson & Johnson. I did it, Dad. I did it. I went to school and got the great job, pharmaceutical sales. 8 months, I got fired. 8 months, I got fired from the company. 30 days after I got fired from the company, I generated my first $20,000 as an entrepreneur.
So what made you write the book then? Was it the pressure of getting fired and then you're like, yo, I ain't got nothing to lose. I've been holding on to this 1,000 word count document. I'm going to just let it go.
Yo, I feel like when you lose all ways of being successful, like when you lose everything, there's only one place to go and that's up. And people say that all the time. I didn't have any way to make money. I always thought for 4 years straight, for 20 years at that time, it's like, go to school, get a job, that job's going to pay you. It's crazy because I was on the phone with my father the other day and I had an opportunity a few weeks ago to take on a $250,000 job here in Charlotte. A company wants to bring me in to be a consultant for them. And I turned it down. And my dad was like, you're crazy. And I was like, no, Pops, we made $60,000 last month. How am I crazy? That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make sense because it's this mindset over and over and over again of like, go get a job, because of security, but security isn't independence. So when I was in that state of, I lost my company car, I lost my company phone, I lost my company computer, I lost my company salary. There was only one way. I got to figure this out. So then shout out to my man, David Shands. We were really good friends back then. He was like, yo, you should just launch it before it's ready. Just do it before it's ready. Do it before it's done. So I launched it. We had a book signing, book release and everything, 30 days, bro, 20,000. And from there, I was like, oh, this is what entrepreneurship is.
Yeah, man. Listen, again, just to recap, Cal dropped some gems right there. I think two of the things I kind of want to dial back on is you talking about security isn't independence. So let's really just start now real quick. So you gonna go get the job, like you said, and you've been okay. So you recently was offered that $250,000 position recently. That's recent, right?
Yeah.
So your father already knows what you've been up to, what you've been doing, how you've been getting to it through entrepreneurship. But because of, and I don't know your dad obviously, but because of like how things were, traditional settings, security, $250,000 sounds nice. A job, like you said, it's just why not get that? It's like what like you said, you're crazy for not wanting to take that. But you're like knowing like if I just ran it up to 65K, I can run it up to 100K. I can run it up to 250K in 30 days. I just seen a couple people run it up to $1 million in 30 days.
What I'm saying, bro, like $250,000 is everything for somebody that hasn't seen it. $250,000 is nothing to me when I've seen $1 million. $250,000 is nothing when we did that in the first quarter of the year. That doesn't even make sense. Until you're exposed to more, if you're around small thinkers, you're going to stay small. But if you're around big thinkers, if I'm around my friends, yo, we're cracking $1 million months. If my friends were driving Rolls Royces, if my friends were building and buying homes, if my friends were having $100,000 days, then what the hell is a $250,000 salary after taxes? I'm really only going to see 180. After that, like I'm going to have to work 40 hours a week. I charge people $1,000 an hour to work with me. So that's $40,000. That doesn't even make sense.
So let's talk about doing it before it's done. Because I'm a huge proponent of that. I'm a huge proponent of that. Talk about someone who, like you said, maybe they got $1,000 account document right now. Maybe they've been sitting on a workbook that they want to drop or an ebook that they want to drop, maybe even an audiobook that they want to drop. But for some reason, they're not dropping it because the artwork's not done. I don't have it all set up. I need somebody else to reread it. Is it done? Like you said, the imposter syndrome and things like that. Talk about doing it before it's done, but really the mindset behind doing it before it's done. Because I think earlier when you test on it, it was really powerful how you was just like, yo, so we just did it before it's done. David said, throw it out. We threw it out. We did 20K in a month.
Yeah, I feel like anybody who's not doing it before it's done is selfish, right? There's somebody right now that committed suicide. There's somebody right now that's going back to a house that's getting beat by their husband or their spouse. There's somebody right now that is unhappy at home. There's somebody right now that just got fired from their job. There's somebody right now that lost everything financially. There's somebody right now that needs the answers financially. And all of these people that are waiting have the answer, but they're not posting it. And that's selfish. God put us on this world to be like, to minister to people, to be vessels, to give what we've learned, to give what we've experienced, to give what we've sacrificed for other people so that those other people can stop being in pain. There's real people out here in pain and we're holding on, trying to make it perfect. And then you're hurting other people and you're losing other people in the process because you're trying to wait until it's ready instead of just posting it. I went on live this morning for an hour and a half from a thought that I had. If I would have tried to make that thought perfect, I'm saving lives. I'm giving people game. I'm motivating people to be able to just get it done. I'm going to ask you this question. This is the only motivation. Anybody right now that's listening to this podcast is not feeling motivated today. I will give you all the game, but you got to wake up tomorrow morning and run 20 miles with me and not stop. And if I was to ask you that question, you'd be like, not stop 20 miles? What? Like, I can't take breaks? Nah, you can't take breaks. There's a lot of people that wouldn't do it. But if I was like, look, that mom that you got, that son, that daughter, that cousin that you love, that grandma that you love, if that person is held at gunpoint 20 miles from your location and all you have is your feet to be able to get to them, you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out. You're not going to say, oh, I need the perfect fit. Oh, I need the perfect car. Oh, I need the perfect all this. No, you're going to get it done because that's when you have attached something that you love to somebody bigger. So I want everybody right now to find it in your heart and stop being selfish with the calling that God has put on you.
Yeah, you all here giving it to him right now, bro. Listen, I 100%, I'm with you on that. I feel the exact same way. I think one of the things that have really kind of propelled me to my success is that I'm really addicted to developing myself, and I'm addicted to asking the universe, asking God, like you have mentioned, to use me as a vessel to give and to share and to help other people. So to me, I'm attached to that. That's where I'm drawing my energy from. That's what got me waking up at 4 a.m. That, every morning to pour into myself first before I start my day. That's what keep me up past 11 to 12 on certain nights to get ready for the next day. That's, like some things like that. So it's really, really powerful that you said that you need to attach some type of passion or some type of, energy to what's going to propel you to get that thing out. So going back on what Kyle's saying, doing it before it's done. Yeah, attach that to just knowing that there's other people out there that need you more than you feel like you need to hold on to this thing.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like that. So that's really crazy. And another thing that you mentioned was the self-limiting beliefs, right? So can you touch on that a little bit? Because you mentioned having that at some point, but what was a catalyst to that to having that switch? And I know it could still come up at other times in other different ways, and we can self-audit ourselves in certain ways so that it doesn't affect the action. But if someone's listening or watching and they're really struggling with that, how do they get that switch going to really get away from the self-limiting beliefs?
Nah, for sure, bro. I appreciate you asking that. So if you think about a cheetah that's chasing something, they're going to run as fast as they possibly can. If you think about a tree that's growing, it's going to grow as tall as it can. If you think about a dog that is barking, it's going to bark as loud as they can. You can't tell a dog to quiet down. You can't tell a tree to slow down. You can't tell a cheetah to slow down. No, anything in nature, it has no limitations. Humans are the only people that have put a cap on our salary, put a cap on the person that we're supposed to date, put a cap on the houses that we're supposed to live in. Let me tell you something. When you take off the cap and live limitless and allow yourself to have everything that God has destined for you to have, I guarantee you have to have like a level of faith in yourself, a level of faith in whomever you serve to be able to get through it. There's two types of faith. Faith is not just, doubt is not the absence of faith. It's just faith that you don't believe in the things that you want to achieve. All faith is I believe in what I want in my mind. All doubt is that I have a faith that doesn't believe. And then when you don't believe, it creates anxiety. But when you do believe, it creates anticipation. I got to get this done.
Yeah.
Gotta get it done. So that's all the motivation that you need. The only motivation that you need. Look in your bank account right now. Are you happy? Look in your fridge right now. Are you happy? Look at your girl or your guy. Are you really happy? Look at your parents and how they grew up and what they struggle with. Are you really wanting to like perpetuate and recreate what you grew up as? That's the only motivation you need. And if you're still not motivated, then this entrepreneurship game ain't for you. Go get a job. Go work at McDonald's. This isn't for you.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong for that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what it is. But again, it's going to come back on really understanding what it is that you truly want, and really being guided by that. I think one of the things that you also said earlier is like you put yourself around other people, and the people that you're around, abundant thinkers, the people that you're around and really get into it, the people that you're around are motivating you and pushing you, and they're motivational and they're inspirational and they're doing their own thing. So if you're someone that's not around certain people, you need. I think I put up something the other day when I was talking about if you want to grow or if you want more income, it's not going to come from you not investing in yourself. It's like people want the growth in the income without taking the investment. Exactly. And that investment may be money. That investment may be, I'm going to spend $5K on a coach or on a course. I'm going to spend $12K on, this little workshop or whatever. But you have to realize what's on the other side of that. You know, people are not thinking like, okay, I'm gonna go to this high end store and I'm gonna spend a bag on this. You're gonna spend a bag on the bag, and what's the bag gonna give you? It's gonna give you other things for you to put inside of the bag. You're still gonna be feeling how you're feeling, still moving how you're moving, but the thought behind you not having any issues or any restraint with doing that, you should not have no restraint with living abundantly and wanting more and developing yourself and getting to it. Like if the barrier for me to have $100K day is for me to spend $25,000 on a course,
it's done.
I'm gonna spend it.
It's done.
If the barrier for me to have $1 million day is for me to spend $155,000 on a course or a program or a mentor, I'm gonna get it. That ROI is ridiculous, right? Supporting what Kyle's saying here with the whole thing about the faith, because like you said, faith is both. It's the faith and it's the doubt. It's just, are you leaning towards a positive or are you leaning towards a negative? Because you have the doubt, it brings on the self-limiting beliefs, it brings on the anxiety, it brings on the procrastination. It keeps you stuck exactly where you are. So yeah, man, I think we can talk about this.
Nah, definitely, bro. Definitely.
It gets me fired up, crazy.
I love what you're talking about in regards to environment, man. And if you think about it, like in Charlotte specifically, West Charlotte is like the hood, East Charlotte is like the hood, right? And in anybody should be able to understand this that's listening to this. You can take a mansion and put that in the worst neighborhood, and it would not be worth the same price that it is in a nicer neighborhood.
Damn,
right?
Damn, bro.
Because location. So you can take a beautiful, beautiful mansion built perfectly, brand new. Take that and put that in the worst neighborhood next to the projects. It's not going to be the same price as it would be in the affluent neighborhood next to the Whole Foods. It's the same thing with relationships. I don't care how much you know. I don't care where you come from. I don't care none of that. The people that you're around, the energy that you're around, the access to information that you're around is going to determine the property value or your value when you're serving customers, your value when you're showing up for your people, your value that you have for your family, the value of relationship that you have, all of it. Location is important.
Damn, bro. Yo, you just hit on so many things. I think one thing that you said that was crazy was like, if you take that mansion and you bring that mansion to the hood, that mansion ain't the same value anymore.
Mm-mm.
But then if we flip it, if you take that shack and you put that shack in that affluent neighborhood, that shack is worth just as much as the mansion because now the land is more valuable too.
Exactly.
Damn, that's so crazy. And that's literally the reason why I moved from Boston. There's nothing wrong with where I come from. I think where Boston is beautiful. It's hella clean there. The people are beautiful. There's certain industries and there's certain categories where if you're there and that's you, you're going to do amazing. But I just needed to go somewhere else because I knew everybody. If they put a new restaurant there, it's in the same neighborhood. They put a casino there, it's in the same neighborhood. New supermarket, same neighborhood. So it doesn't matter because Boston doesn't have no more land. So it doesn't matter if there's something brand new, it's going to be in a familiar city with the same people going to it. It's going to be a hot spot. You don't know everybody like it's it. So I needed to put myself somewhere where not only could I feel challenged, but it was going to allow my senses to start reactivating.
Mm-hmm.
I can get lost again. I don't know this person. Let me say hi. This smells different. The sounds are different. I can be outside. The weather's different. And as a result, I was able to naturally, because with intention later, but I think naturally you start to grow again because it's new soil, it's new sunlight, there's new water flowing, there's new people around. So that environmental change is huge. Then you said something else about how, I don't even know if I can remember how you put it together, but it's really about how, investing in yourself really makes that value of you. You were kind of making the comparison of like the mansion, but like you being that mansion. So if you're around more people, if you're around the right group, your value increases. Like your personal value increases. Like yesterday, I took the day off, but I took the day off to read. I took the day off to take a course. I took the day off to do a program. So I took the day off from working, but I was intentionally leveling up. So I know that now I'm just way more valuable than I was yesterday. Exactly. And I think, to your point, you around new people, you're around new environments, you're investing in books, you're investing in products and services, you're going on certain trips with intention, your value goes up and then you change.
Exactly. I think, one thing that you hit on, right? You were saying you had to get around something different for your senses, right? Anybody who's listening right now or watching right now, if one of your senses is lost, like if you lose your sight, what happens to the other ones? It heightens them. If you lose your ability to hear, it heightens other senses. A lot of people that are listening to this need to understand which one of your senses is affecting your progress. Some of y'all see certain things and you need to be listening more to the things. Some of y'all are hearing the wrong things, but you need to be more mindful and have discernment enough to see things. You have to spot the clues that success is leaving you so that you can be able to walk as a part of having different relationships. So when we think about relationships are the breadcrumbs to our destiny. But if we're hearing these relationships and not seeing how these relationships are affecting us, then we're going to stay in the same place. I need y'all to understand which sense. Is it what you feel around you? Is it what you see around you? Is it what you hear around you? Is it the things that you taste or that feeling in your mouth when you get around certain people or certain environments? I need you to identify which one needs to change first so that it can heighten the other ones to give you the ability to move out of your current situation.
And that might come for a hard pivot. Mm-hmm. We're like literally just getting in a new location. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's like, to your point, like, yeah, you should discern, like you said, which one is really, like, which one is it? But sometimes you just got to just pick up and just move to a whole nother location.
Exactly.
Like literally, you just got to pick up and move to a whole nother location.
If you're a coach, consultant, expert, or specialist, there's only 3 things that you need to take you from where you are right now to where you want to go. And those 3 things are this: a roadmap, consistency, and the right coaching. So if you're coachable, if you can follow a roadmap, if you're ready to be consistent, I invite you to jump on a call with me or someone from my team, and we can lay out the play to get you from where you are now to where you want to go. But I'm going to be honest, not everyone is ready. This system isn't for everyone. This is only for someone who is ready and willing to be committed, who can follow a roadmap, and who is coachable. So if that someone is you, I invite you to jump on a strategy call with me or someone from my team. We'll lay everything out for you. All right? My name is Brennan Boyd, and I'll see you on the other side.
I'm trying to dial back on that first book, because you had success in that first book. And there's probably a lot of people listening, watching. That's probably like, how we drop a book and he did 20,000 real quick, right? So let's talk about a little bit on the leverage, creating an audience when you're dropping a brand new product, knowing who that client, who that avatar is, who's buying my book or who's listening to my audiobook. Where were you able to develop the audience and direct your messaging to, so then you can obviously get to that initial 20K?
Yeah. So anybody who's listening right now, I like to talk in like practical steps, because I think that a lot of people talk in theory. And then when you're listening to this, it's like, all right, what do I actually do? So what I want you to do, the first 2 questions that I want you to ask yourself is, why am I writing this book? And then number 2 is, what do I want the goal to be from this book? What does success look like in 6 months and 12 months from that book? Do you want to get booked to speak? Do you want to have a coaching program? Do you want to sell 1 million copies? Do you want to be able to build your business? What do you really want? Now, once you understand that, you determine your outcomes. Then you have to understand, okay, with these outcomes and with what I want, it identifies or it encapsulates a specific person. There's 2 types of avatars. There's one that you serve, and then there's one that's paying you. If you did a Venn diagram, there's characteristics, desires, pain points, goals and values, oppositions, challenges, demographic information for probably both of those individuals. I'll give you an example. If you're serving children, the kid isn't paying you, the principal is, the parent is. Those other people are, not the child. When you identify the ones that are the same on both sides, the characteristics and everything, you put those things in the middle. That's how you identify the book that you need to write in the person. That is how you have, it's called the magic in the middle strategy. Then you build out a book specifically to that person. marketing campaign, all of it. Now you structure content. This is where they are. This is where they need to be. Everything in the middle is called the transformative process. The curriculum, the steps, the step-by-step process, the direction, the GPS that gets you from where you are to where you need to be. The reality of what I want everybody to hear right now is that if you're not an expert getting people from point A to point Z, and you're an expert of getting point A to point M or point A to point G, then only communicate a story that ends with your expertise. Now, let's say you get the book done and everything. You have to establish a system. You need a book funnel and you need a way to be able to get it out. What are your traffic sources? Are you leveraging LinkedIn? Are you leveraging YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, other people's networks, influencer marketing? What are you actually doing? You do not need ads to be able to run $100,000 in 90 days from a book. There's 7 ways to be able to get paid from a book. From book sales alone, and when we think about book sales, you can sell these to people, like actual individuals, companies and businesses, nonprofit organizations, schools and universities, jails, prisons, government establishments, coaches, or other experts that have other people as well. That's one way. Another way, you can leverage your book to build to get speaking engagements. You can leverage your book to have digital products and digital courses. You can leverage your book to be able to have some type of consultant or retainer model with an organization. You can leverage your book to be able to get bulk book deals like school districts, organizations, or institutions to be able to buy your book as well. So you have to identify first, what do you want? And then identify the pathway that is going to best get you to that place.
So with all of this, Kyle just gave us a whole checklist earlier. You got a whole checklist earlier. He done told you how to put the book together with the information that you already have. So there's a book in you right now. You got the book. You're listening to this. You're watching this. There's a book in you right now. He told you how to pull it out, what your subject matter should be on, and then he broke down which platforms that you should be marketing to, or which platforms that you should be using for marketing purposes to get it to the person that should be reading your book. He also told you how the book needs to be presented, meaning it should come out with most likely a funnel versus a traditional website. Whoever's listening to this, watching this, there's absolutely no reason why you should not be able to put your book together. Or for some reason, if you still feel like you need help, obviously Kyle has all types of services that he can help you with. You know, you'll tap into this. Keep listening. He's going to drop the information soon so you can make sure that you tap in and follow. But so much value with what you just said. So you dropped that first book, and currently today you got, correct me if I'm wrong, you got like 7? There's 7?
7. Yeah, 7. We're working on our 8th. My 8th will drop in November. Okay,
so are all 7 of these, are they all in correlation? Or are they different topics and different values?
See, this is the play, and I need everybody to pick up the pieces that I'm about to give. So my first 3 books were a series: the Mission Plan, the Decision, the Discovery, and the Destiny. That was a series. So 1, 2, 3. After that, I wrote a book specifically. I like to write poetry, so I wrote a book specifically for that. Then I came back and wrote a book specifically for educators. Then I came back and wrote a book specifically for businesses. You know what the beautiful thing about all those books are? I can market all of those at the same exact time in 7 different places. You know why? Because they're all hitting 7 different markets. The problem with people that are writing a book is they don't know who they're serving. So when they market it, they can't market all the books at the same time because they're not clear with all of it. My one book, one of the books, The Driver Method, I can market that specifically through LinkedIn to corporate CEOs. Educator's Blueprint, I market that specifically to principals and administrators. The first 3 books, I get those sold in bulk business deals to school districts. So my marketing team focuses in 3 different areas, and it's the same result.
Gems. So, bro, look, what else are you currently offering, and where are you currently on the pursuit towards? Because we talked a little earlier offline. I know what you did in one of the months in terms of income, and I know you want to double that up. So, like, what continues to drive you, and what are you currently on the pursuit towards right now?
What continues to drive me is understanding, and this is a question that I always ask people. If you lost your voice today, like if you couldn't podcast, if you couldn't give advice, if you couldn't give a speech, if you couldn't talk to your friends or your loved ones, what have you built that can speak for you? Like, really? Like, what have you built? You can't pass down, you can pass down buildings and money, but you want to pass down generational knowledge. You want to pass down how you got through, how you built something, how you overcame something, how you hopped over the hurdle. How do you bounce back from something? That's what's going to be impactful for people. And a lot of people are going to listen to this or watch this, and they don't even recognize that they haven't done anything that can be evergreen and remembered forever. So that's what continues to drive me is I want people to transcend through time. And literature provides us with that opportunity. And what we're working on now is I want to be able to work with 1,000 authors, man. I want to be able to help 1,000 people publish, promote, and profit from their books. So right now, how to engage in that is we're getting ready to launch a challenge. We're getting ready to launch a challenge. You already know. It's going to be called Launch Your Book Challenge. It's going to be 5 days. And I'm going to teach you everything you need to do to actually launch the book in 5 days. Anybody listening is like, that's crazy. But in 5 days, you'd literally be able to launch your book.
So you'll be able to launch. You'll be able to take. Well, I mean, they can launch their book after listening to this. Clearly,
literally.
But they'll be able to take whatever's inside of them that they probably don't even recognize could be in a book. They'll be able to take that, get that outside of them, and you're gonna help them put it in a book and launch that book in a week.
In 5 days.
And they'll be able to profit off of that.
Oh yeah, 5 days.
Crazy. So if people want to tap into you, like how do they find you? What do they need to do? You know, what are the current services that you provide?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King, and on Instagram at Kyle S. King in one word. I offer my challenge, but the biggest offer is our PM30 Accelerator program that has already worked. We've already worked with over 400 authors, being able to help them publish their books. And over a 12-week period, we're going to help you craft your idea. We're going to help you plan your content. We're going to help you unpack your story, prepare it for publishing, promote it so that you can have your first $20,000 book launch. And then how do you actually build profitable businesses outside of your book? So how do you get booked to speak? How can you launch a course? How can you actually build a community or an online community to be able to pay you recurring every single month? When we understand the DARES method and being able to be digital, automated, recurring, evergreen, and scalable, you can do all of that from one book. So that's what I'm going to be able to teach people through this 12-week process. And first, you can tap in with me via social media. If you have any questions, definitely reach out.
So before you go, man, I just want to talk about two things that you mentioned because I'm not sure people fully understand or can grasp it. So one thing that you said a couple of times is evergreen. So for those that may not know what evergreen is, please break that down. And then also leaving something that transcends through time, which you said literature is definitely an amazing vessel to do that. So would you mind just touching on those two things before we call it with this podcast?
Now, for sure. So number one, evergreen. Nobody cares about the Jordans that you wore 9th grade. Nobody cares about the shirt that you wore to that party. Nobody cares about the car that you drove to pick up that girl. But people will care about the things that you have created that can make them better and impact people and how you make them feel. When we think about anything that's evergreen, it's not about what's trending right now. It's what's going to be relevant in 10, 15, 20 years from now. Your story and how you overcame an obstacle is relevant because there will always be obstacles. Your story and how you positioned your family and build wealth will always be relevant because there's always going to be a family struggling. Your story on how you got through that breakup is always going to be relevant. Your story, how you battled with depression and overcame it, is always going to be relevant. You know why? Because emotions and people and human psychology will never change. We will continue to go through cycles and cycles and cycles. But if you have a solution, that will then help you transcend through time. And what I mean is not be forgotten. The average life expectancy, I believe, is 72 years old. 72. But if I was to pass away today, my stories, my experiences, my education, my knowledge will always be able to live through my books. Always. Rich Dad, Poor Dad was published in 1997, and people are still buying that book today. Think and Grow Rich was published years ago. Who Moved My Cheese? Years ago. The Bible, hundreds of years ago. So none of the people in the Bible are still living, but there's book sales. It's still $1 million industry. You're still buying new Bibles, and people are still learning from these people. So if you want to be a part of history, you got to be a part of literature.
Yo, that's a crazy thought right there. If you want to be a part of history, you need to be a part of literature. So if you're an athlete, you don't got to win a championship. You just got to publish some literature. That's it. Change your life. And you could do that literally simultaneously while you get into the bag. I think Kobe was a great example of that, because obviously when he stopped playing ball, he did a hard pivot and he was telling stories. So he produced content, movies, and then also wrote books. Actually, I have some of the books he wrote that kind of combine like magic and mystery with sports, which I think is incredible. But I think that thing that you just mentioned is huge, man. I think that's so huge. Like, really being able to share your story and help other people is what's going to allow you to transcend time, and always be able to educate and help other people. I think when you brought it home about the Bible too, that's so crazy. I mean, you're right. Everybody in there ain't living no more. That's
as far as I know, they not.
For sure, man. Well, look, I want to thank you for stopping on the podcast, bro. You are a blessing to me, and I'm pretty sure you're a blessing to those watching and listening. You dropped so many gems on here. If you're not rewinding this and going back and picking them up, I don't know what you're doing. Hopefully, we'll probably drop a checklist or something at the bottom. You could just download it to make it easy for you. But thank you so much, man, for making the time and the space and showing up and sharing on the podcast, bro. And remind them one more time how they can tap in with you.
Instagram, Kyle S. King, KYLESKING, and then LinkedIn, Kyle S. King.
All right, y'all. This was another episode of the On the Pursuit Podcast, and I'll see you guys again.
If you're someone looking to level up in your personal life and also in your business, what if I told you there's only 2 things that you really need to focus on? Number 1 is your routines. If you knock down your routine each and every day, you're going to be further along in your personal life. The other thing is your rituals. If you knock down your rituals each and every day, you're going to be further along in your business life. And what if I told you don't have to do this all by yourself? You can be part of an impactful group that's looking to level you up and support you along your journey. What's in the group? Let me give it a sauce. I'm talking about a daily tracker to make sure you stay on point. We read books that impact your life in real time. You get access to a group community where we're there to support one another. And there's 2 group coaching sessions each and every month. And guess what? It's only $1 for 7 days, so you can try it out. And then after that, it's $89 a month. All this value. So click the link below, get in a group. Let's level up your life. Let's level up your business. Let's go to the next level.